How to break up a dog fight if your dog gets into a fight with another.
First off, don't ever put your hands in between a dog fight. Don't break up a dog fight unless it's really necessary. Don't hurt yourself unnecessarily.
Decide to take Bear downstairs to the dog park. Bear's there twice a day at least, so he knows all the other dogs. He plays really well, especially with the little Chihuahuas and Frenchies.
Oftentimes, the smaller dogs feel like they are the bigger dogs, and they can be dominant over the bigger dogs, and the bigger dogs are scared of the smaller dogs, so that's really something really funny to notice.
There's even one that looks like a Wookiee.
The Wookiee. We actually see this dog not very often. We call it a Brussels Terrier. There are other names for this, but there are a few breeds that look similar like this one, and they have different names. They do have a flat nose, so flat-nosed dogs, a lot of health problems. My book will be coming out soon about breed problems. If it's here, I'll put a link in the description below.
To the dog park, I see a young lady come in with a golden retriever. First little suspicious sign is her golden retriever pulled her in to the dog park. I was like, all right, she doesn't have great control of her dog. And I watch these things. I want to know right away if there's a problem dog coming in, so I have to hold Bear, make sure that he doesn't get hurt. It still looked friendly. Tail was wagging, and it's a golden retriever at the end of the day.
This is an often made mistake. Golden retrievers, if not trained well, can be quite dangerous. They are known for the most friendly dog. They are very kid-friendly as well, but they tend to be quite bitey. So this is something you'll have to train them on early on. They have this soft mouth. They can actually bring back an egg in one piece when they put it in his mouth. That's what they call it, the soft muzzle. But the bitiness needs to get out, and also they mature very late, so they stay very childish very long. So most dogs, they mature around 2 years old. You'll see a difference. It takes much longer with a golden retriever. Same goes for a Labrador retriever, by the way.
She tells me that her dog doesn't really like big dogs and is kind of afraid of them.
Then why is she not going away from this dog park already?
Bear said hi to that dog, and it gave him like a little pause, and Bear just continued along his merry way playing with the other dogs. So about 5 minutes go by. All of a sudden, I see that Bear is standing right next to the golden, side by side, but they're showing all the signs of aggression. Frozen, mouths closed, slobbering, tails up, very rigid.
The signs of aggression that there can be very subtle at the beginning, and if you ignore the beginning signs, dogs will start to not show those beginning signs at all, and they start biting right away. Is what we call an actually aggressive dog. Dogs that actually nicely show all the signs and all the steps of grades of aggression, they are not called aggressive, and they can be trained. So the first sign you'll see is the eye whites. They'll turn their eyes away. The next sign will be they're licking more, maybe swallowing more. The third sign is they'll show some teeth. Then they'll start growling. Then they start nipping, so a warning bite. And only after that, they will actually bite down and maybe even shake their head. So there are few stages here to be looking after. We have to look at this very carefully when we have a dog on an examination table, when it's time to take a little breather so we don't get hurt, or the owner doesn't get hurt.
The other dog owner comes over and sort of shoves her dog away from Bear, and that triggers the golden, snarling, and the golden just dives at Bear.
I think what happened here, if the lady didn't react at all, might have helped, because now the dog did a reaction. We call it in Dutch, if you translate it very literally, it's an over jump reaction. So they'll attack, but not what they were aggressive towards. So let's see how this continues.
Initially was like, okay, a dog fight, I've seen these happen, I know how to break this up, no worries. As soon as I run up to control the situation, she grabs her dog's collar.
Collar, very dangerous for dogs. Check this video in the cards. You'll think differently about collars.
She ends up falling with the golden retriever because there's a little mound in the park, and she falls onto the concrete holding the golden. The lady starts screaming. Her golden is locked
screaming
on her forearm. Her own golden retriever. She's screaming, it's me, crying.
So this is definitely over jump reaction. The dog was scared of bear, but reacted to the owner because she started screaming and he thought that the danger was coming from there now. So never scream when your dog is attacking another dog, or he might attack you. I don't know if the owner was the actual owner or maybe a dog sitter or a family member that the dog doesn't see that often. So I wonder if this is the actual owner.
She's screaming, it's me, crying for help. Two people from the street jump the fence of the dog park, start punching her dog in the face to get it to let go, because this is a big dog and it's completely like smashing her forearm. Finally, it lets go, but as soon as it lets go, it gets angry and jumps on her again. Luckily, all the people that were there, they were able to control it with the collar.
I think the dog will have some injuries on the neck after this pulling on the collar, but he was actually really biting down as the actual sign of aggression. Poor woman. I think she'll be very scared of her dog after this incident. That is so unfortunate.
And she had deep puncture wounds. At least 3 deep puncture wounds, what it seemed like. And some smaller cuts as well, and bleeding from the nose and the head. And she's like, well, I don't need to go to the hospital for this. And I'm like, you really need to see a doctor. You don't know if you have an infection. You don't know if you...
Dog teeth infection, it happens. But if a cat bites you, please always go to your physician for antibiotics, because these puncture wounds are deep and they close right away. And then anaerobic bacteria go to work, and these are nasty infections. I had a colleague who almost lost her hand on this. She had antibiotics administered intravenously and she had about 5 operations just to fix her hand. It's terrible for anyone to lose their hand, or the complete function of the hand. So be careful, always have it checked out. I am not kidding.
Here's what to do if your dog gets into a dog fight. First, please, whatever you do, don't stick your hands, fingers, arms, legs in between 2 dogs that are fighting. You're just asking to get bitten. If you have 2 dogs that know each other and they're sort of fighting at home, a very simple thing to do is throw a blanket over them. That would usually make them disperse. If you're in a situation where you want to say no and be firm and yell at the dog, I wouldn't really recommend that. Loud voices can actually get the dogs even angrier and make them want to go at each other more. Think about like a boxer inside a boxing ring. They don't hear people chanting, they're just in the zone.
He's very right. They go in kind of a frenzy and they can't hear what you're saying at that moment. Another thing you can do is, we use this in conditioning as a kind of a training. It's like the Pavlov reflex, but you give a negative reward is how they call it. So you make a loud noise right next to them with like dropping a box of cutlery perhaps, and that might scare a dog and let go, and at that point you can take your own dog and go away. Just start walking. Start walking.
On the off chance, if you have like something like an air horn that makes a really loud high-pitched noise, it can be loud enough to disperse the fight. Now, the most effective way to separate 2 dogs that are fighting requires 2 people. One on either side behind the dogs. You want to pick up the hind legs and do something known as a wheelbarrow technique. As soon as you lift up the hind legs, generally the dogs will want to let go because they don't know what's going on. But as soon as you lift up the dogs, try and move in a circular fashion. As you move in...
yes, this is actually positive. This is how dogs normally greet each other. So they'll not go straight nose to nose, maybe for a sec, but they go circularly like this, and they will smell each other's tail. And that's how a normal reaction is. So they'll actually curve their bodies like this. So that's when you know they're greeting in a friendly way. So when they were nose to nose, side to side, and if they start looking at each other, a dog is not completely but a little bit of a psychopath. Don't look straight in the eyes when he's already aggressive, or you see signs of aggression. Turn your eyes away. Keep an eye on him, but turn your eyes away.
It'll give the dog something to do, but be careful because the dog will try and kick its legs out. You really need to get a solid grip, and you don't want to get bitten.
A solid grip can be obtained by taking the joints right here and making a lock in your fingers. It's a little bit more difficult with big dogs, but it's feasible.
The dog attacks you. First of all, do not run whatever you do. Dogs are very fast and they have a natural prey drive that makes them want to chase. Stand up tall, stand sideways, and not make eye contact. So it's not confrontational. You do still want to keep an eye on the dog without making eye contact. Next, in a firm voice, you want to tell the dog no.
Not only a firm voice, but also a low voice, so you say no. Dogs often respond better to the male owner than the female owner, just because they have the lower voice and more vibration, so you want to try to copy this. You want to try to go very low, no. And if they're doing a good job, you go up and say like goodbye and such things that, yeah, everyone's doing naturally and talking baby talk to their dog. I see this very often. I do this to my patients all the time. It's so cute.
To say it very passionately, confident that you're willing to stand your own ground. At the same time, you want to make fists. And it's not because I want you to get ready to fight the dog, but it's because the first things to get bitten and bitten off are fingers. If you keep them in fists, you're less likely to lose a finger.
I like this recommendation a lot. So you want to keep also your thumb inside, perhaps. You're not gonna hit. If you're gonna hit and take the thumb inside, you're gonna break your thumb. If you're actually gonna hit, it's like this. If you want to protect your fingers like this, and if he actually bites down on them, you can push a little bit. This will make it impossible for him to bite down. It's a little bit contra-intuitive, but it will make his jaw go open, and then he'll stop biting, perhaps. Yeah, I know it's scary, but it's something you could do if you can stay calm.
And you need to go see a doctor. Yes. You need to make sure your vaccinations are up to date. If it was a rabid dog, you may need a series of injections.
Rabies disease, of hondsdolheid in Flemish, we don't see it in Belgium because we're a rabies-free country, especially for the domesticated animals. It can happen in bats and hedgehogs and foxes. So we often do recommend, when you're going to the Ardennen, in the south of Belgium, where there's a lot of wildlife, a lot of nature, to have your dog vaccinated anyways, but it's no longer required by law. What is required by law is the moment you go outside of the borders of Belgium, your dog needs this vaccination and you need to give it 3 weeks in advance. This is because it takes this long for the immunity to be high enough in the blood. So make your appointment like a month before and you'll be safe. Another thing, when a dog bites you, is you need to disinfect the wound very quickly. That will help against rabies disease, and you need a set of serums. Yeah, but your doctor will know more about this. This is something they really need to do in Africa, for example, where rabies disease is very common. It is fatal. The moment it kicks in, we cannot save you anymore. You will die from this disease, and there are some terrible videos about this. I think every vet student has seen this video. It's a very old video. You actually become at the end aquaphobic, so you're afraid to drink water. So yeah, not nice. The other vaccination you'll need, and all vets need to renew this every 7 to 10 years, depends on which vaccination it is in each country, is tetanus. We need to get a tetanus shot every once in a while. And you get a heavy arm from this, a bit like the coronavirus. You can get a very sore, stiff arm from this. But yeah, we have to be up to date for this. But if you get bitten by a dog, your physician might recommend a tetanus shot as well.
Once your health is taken care of, make sure you report the dog bite to the proper authorities. The last thing you want is for that dog to bite another person or animal.
Yes, unfortunately. And have a behavioral specialist look at the dog. First, have him looked at that there's nothing physically wrong, medically wrong with him, because he might be aggressive because he's in pain somewhere and protecting himself. Don't forget that. It might not be a completely behavioral problem, but if that is ruled out, you really need training with this dog. If this woman is not getting special training for this dog after medical things are ruled out, that is not responsible at all. And you don't want to be the owner that has to have his or her dog put down because of aggression. And you have to do it if this is the case, because you don't want this on your conscience if this dog bites and kills a little child, for example.
I'm not an animal behavior specialist. I do have a lot of experience in raising dogs and understanding when they're about to get angry or do something wrong. But even here, I was shook. I needed to go and look up some information about what to do and refresh my memory. So I decided to make this video for you guys. Whether or not you own a dog, I think this is useful information.
If you have any questions or comments about what I said, drop something in the comments below. Dr. Mike, please contact me. I would like to collaborate with you on a video about zoonoses. These are diseases that animals, cats and dogs, can give to humans. I would love to make a video about this, and I would prefer it to be with you together so we can have both perspectives in one video to make it way more valuable for everyone. Let's keep your furry friends happy and healthy together, and I will see you in the next video.